The Lal Street starts the first day of March in the green. The Sensex and the Nifty gain 0.5% each, led by metals, auto and real estate stocks. Banks too gain. Mid-caps outperform again today.
Adani Group stocks gain for the second straight day. Adani Enterprises gains close to around 9%. Other group stocks as well see gains anything between 2 to around 5% odd.
Stocks show tepid reaction to February auto sales numbers. Bajaj auto sales come in lower than estimates at 2.8 lakh units. Weakness in exports continues while Escorts Kubota posts strong sales, up 28% versus last year.
And delivery in focus after 2.8 crore shares or 3.8% equity change hands in the large trade. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 that SVF Dobel came in. A SoftBank entity is likely to be the seller today. Hello and welcome to Chartbusters. I'm Nigel D'Souza and joining me is Mangalam Malu. And things are looking up after a while on Chartbusters. In fact, almost every day for the last few sessions, we've seen the markets a little bit jittery. Today, after a while, we can say at around 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m. odd, the Nifty is at the high point of the day. So that's pretty good news. But Mangalam, there is some information on Tata Consumer. I think there were a couple of reports that suggested that deal with Bisleri is off. You've got a clarification from them. Tell us more.
Yes, Nigel, we have got a clarification from Tata Consumer coming in. In fact, what the deal, the news that we flashed and that came from Bisleri was, rather, that came from Bloomberg, was that the talks of deal with Bisleri have been stalled. Tata Consumer on its part have said that, when they never said that they have been speaking with Bisleri, etc., the good part is they said that they are currently in negotiations with various parties, including Bisleri. So that's one, that they've admitted that they have been negotiating with Bisleri. Secondly, there's nothing more to add right now, apart from the fact that they have been speaking with Bisleri. My sense is that, the initial valuations that came by, which was close to about 6,000-7,000 crores or near $1 billion, the street may not have liked that kind of money being paid for a category which is perhaps not growing as fast, and a category which may not, add immediately to Tata Consumer's long-term growth prospects, primarily because Tata Consumer already has their water portfolio. So if they bought this same asset, which is again a very strong brand, at a lower valuation, the street would like that much more than the valuations that the earlier reports came by from. So we don't know whether the deal is on or off, but if at all it happens at a lower valuation, it would be a big positive for Tata Consumer.
All right. So the deal as of now could probably be still on. They're looking at various acquisitions, and one of them could probably be Bisleri. And the fear earlier was that the valuations are too high. So the hope is if they're still in discussions, they manage to close a deal, if at all, at a lower price. So that's what we have as of now.
That's what we have as of now. And the biggest positive so far, as this comment is concerned, is that Tata Consumer, for the first time on record, has said that they are in talks with Bisleri. Up until now, Bisleri had said that they are in talks with Tata. The deal had happened at a certain valuation, etc. There was no real comment from Tata Consumer saying that, okay, we are in negotiations. They always maintain that, okay, they're talking to a lot of players, and they've always looked at M&A as a strategy for growth. This is something that Sunil D'Souza also has said to us multiple times on our channel. But this time they've agreed that, yeah, they have been in talks, and there's nothing more to add apart from that.
All right. For the time being, Nigel D'Souza's thirst has been quenched. So thanks so much, Mangalam, for filling us in with all that information. So that's about Tata Consumer. A bit of a positive coming in there for the company. We'll have to see how this plays out going ahead. But let's talk about the market since we're having a field day. Manish Hadiramani joins in for a quick technical check. Hi, Manish. Good to speak to you after a while. Well, the market's at the high point of the day. A century on the Nifty. We haven't seen this in a while. What's your sense? Do we have more to go on the upside? And how would you trade it?
Good morning, Nigel and Mangalam. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Well, I'm still of the opinion Nifty is down. Well, 17,353 was the low which was recorded on 1st of February. We broke that convincingly, which should actually allow the index to move southwards towards the levels of 16,900 to 17,000. Resistance is really at 17,600. And until we don't cross those levels on good volume, those levels are not breached, any up move can be actually categorized as a correction, and when one can go short for lower levels.
All right, 17,600 is what you're looking at in terms of resistance, but that's a good 200 points away from here as well. A lot of people who might be wanting to do a quick in and out in the market itself would have perhaps looked at that as a positive for at least the next 200 points. But be that as it may, the mid-cap index is doing well for the last two trading sessions. Your thoughts on individual stocks, Manish?
Well, mid-cap still has some room. We still have some time before we can actually get into buys. Sells, it's a little too late because they've been beaten down a lot more than the Nifty. I'm currently working with two frontliners. The first sell call is on an ITC for a target of 366, stop loss of 389. 380 was a good support for this stock, and we broke that on the back of good volumes. As a result of this, we do expect the stock to break further. The second sell call is on Oro Pharma for a target of 438, stop loss of 477. 470 was a good support for this particular stock, which has been disrespected. A break of 450 will further confirm the downtrend.
Okay, all right. Manish, thanks so much for stopping by and filling us in with all of those details. Look forward to having a chat with you in the near future. For the time being, though, let's shift focus to our special segment where we get you a few ideas for profit from Money Control Pro. Lekha joins us to tell us about a stock that she's tracking closely. Lekha?
Yes, thank you. So we're positive on Global Health Limited, popularly known by the brand name Medanta, which is one of the largest hospital chains in the country. Now, Medanta posted good performance in Q3 FY23 and is developing hospitals of less than 6 years, that is the units in Lucknow and Patna, ramped up exceptionally well in the 9-month period. Additionally, Medanta has greenfield capex plans for Noida and Indore. And the Noida facility is expected to commence operations in FY25, while its new hospital venture in Indore will be an asset-light model, and the project is expected to start in FY27. The company plans to incur a capex of around 1100 crore by FY25-26, and its debt-to-equity ratio is close to 0.35 times. While this provides room to raise funds, Medanta remains confident of funding its capex through internal accruals. We remain positive about Medanta's growth on account of strong ramp-up in its newer facilities, improving ARPOB as new specialties are introduced and tariff hikes are implemented. Also, there is room for improvement in EBITDA due to operating leverage and moderation of other expenses. The stock has run up a bit recently and is trading at 20 times EV/EBITDA for its FY24 estimates. We think any consolidation or pullback can be used to accumulate the stock.
All right, thanks a lot for that. With that, we'll step into a short break. Come back. On the other side, we'll have Ashish Jain, who's the CFO of KRBL, to discuss the company's business outlook in depth. More importantly, we'll watch out for the prospects of the rice crop going ahead, given its water-heavy nature and the talks of El Nino. Welcome back. You're watching us here on Chartbusters. Let's talk about the rice processing and exporting industry, KRBL. The recent rice export curbs came by consumers in Asia. Africa have to pay higher prices for rice grains. Well, a lot has been happening. We're also talking about the monsoon prospects of a weaker monsoon this time around. We have Ashish Jain, who's the CFO of the company, joins in to discuss the business impact of all of this in detail. Thanks a lot, Ashish, for joining in. Everyone's talking about El Nino. I mean, how do you think the paddy crop will be affected? Of course, there has been no official statement from any of the Indian Met officials with regards to monsoons, and it's understandably a little too early to do so as well. But do we have enough stock if the weather does get affected?
Yeah, so thank you for having us. So rice, as you know, tends to be a winter crop. Bulk of the rice in India is harvested in the months of October to December, and the crop itself gets sown in the month of June and July.
Got it.
So, you know, unless these trends play out adversely, there may be some impact, but otherwise, let's wait and watch for that.
All right. So we will wait and watch for that. And there's also news that, you know, recent export curbs have increased export realizations. Are you seeing a similar trend? I mean, could you give us a sense of realizations for you, both domestic and exports? And how are these numbers likely to be in the fourth quarter versus third quarter?
Sure. So I think the country as a whole, both in exports as well as the domestic market, has seen a higher realization this year as compared to last year. Some of the factors that have driven that are generally higher demand amid the global geopolitical concerns. You know, this has kind of got the countries to focus on food sustainability because of its demand tends to be robust. The second factor that we keep hearing about is the flood situation in Pakistan that affected their crop. So these two things, amongst other factors, have led to a general high in prices during the current year. So we've naturally benefited from this in terms of our realization, which tend to be higher this year as compared to last. In terms of the current quarter, we are seeing the trend continuing broadly. If you look at rice prices, they are marginally higher than what they were at the end of last calendar year, which is December 22.
All right. Hi, Mr. Jain. Good morning. Nigel on this side. So for Q4, export revenues will be in that vicinity of 550 to 600 crores at least?
Yeah, Nigel, as you know, we don't give out guidance, but the quarter will be in line with the previous quarter. So yes, around that range, I would imagine.
All right. Mr. Jain, we'll get back to business in just a bit, but I want to focus on the cash that you have in your books, because that's something that gives you valuation comfort, which is very, very important. And also, I just looking at your valuations, I think you're trading at around 11 times, PE, which is rather cheap. But the cash in the books, firstly, can you tell us what is it? As of 9 months, your other income is around 50 crores. So what's the cash in your books?
Yeah, so, if you look at our cash reserves, our business tends to be cyclical. So we accumulate cash starting roughly Jan or Feb of the year. This goes on to September, after which the cash gets utilized as we buy inventory for the on incoming season.
Right.
So, so that's how the cash cycle moves for us. Now, therefore, we conserve cash to finance the inventory as much as possible to reduce our reliance on debt and therefore the finance cost as well.
Okay. All right. The point that I was getting to, I think, on an average, I think for the year, you must be maintaining a cash balance of around 1,000 crores?
Yeah, more than that. Actually.
More than 1,000 crores. Now, Mr. Jain, your market capitalization as of now is what, around 8,000 crores approximately. You are sitting on cash, which is 15% of your market capitalization. And given you have some cushion on PE, the street is wondering why you're not going ahead and doing a buyback. Your ROC is getting diluted because of the last cash balance. If you do a buyback, some of those shares come back, equity will reduce and ROC as well will move up. Have you all thought of a buyback? And why haven't you all done it till now?
Sure. So, see, I think the larger question is on, the profit distribution policy of the company. So we have a very well announced dividend distribution policy. As far as buyback is concerned, that's something that's being considered again, and we are also looking at it right now. More I'll be able to get back to you once we've completed internal discussions also along with the board.
But you all have discussed this in the past as well, but no announcement came of it. So this time, do you think that the board is more serious about probably looking at the possibility of a buyback? Because that's something that your shareholders are looking forward to.
Sure. No, so I can assure you the matter was looked at very seriously earlier as well. And the same is also happening this time. So I think wait for us to sort of get back to it around the time of the next board meeting.
All right. Okay, so is there a possibility of this happening in this financial year by any chance, if at all? Or is there, there would be further deliberations and perhaps nothing would come of it as it has happened earlier as well?
See, it's difficult to comment on it because, this internal process has not been concluded. Sure. So like I said, we'll get back on this.
Okay, no problem. What about the Unity brand? It's almost a 600 crore brand now. What target do you have for FY24 for that one? Any plans of, unlocking some value at some point in time once it reaches some critical mass?
Yeah, so Unity, as you know, the whole idea behind Unity is to make it easier for the consumer who currently consumes loose rice, whether in the retail segment or in the HoReCa segment, to move to consistent quality branded rice. So yes, as we speak, the brand has a run rate in excess of 600 crores. We are very positive on this brand and we're looking at least 15 to 20% growth over the next 1 year.
Okay, final couple of questions before we let you go, Mr. Jain. I think you have around 40% market share, right? Volume market share in modern trade channels. Could you give us an updated number, point number one? And also, in the past, I've quizzed you whether or not you're heading towards that long-term aspiration of getting to around 8,000 crores by 2025. Is that on the cards? So market share and 2025 goals.
Yeah, so market share, the number that you mentioned is what we reported last year. The latest estimate typically gets to us by the end of the quarter, which is when we disclose it to the investors as well. I think in terms of the long-term plan, absolutely. May take a little longer. However, we are very focused on the long-term aspiration of 8,000 crores. Couple of steps we've already announced in this direction in terms of our capex around setting up 3 new plants across the country. both which will cater not only to basmati but also to non-basmati, which is a very large and in our mind sort of unaddressed opportunity for the country as a whole.
Right.
So that which is basmati, the non-basmati foray, besides other products, is what will get us to the number that you mentioned.
Right. And do you have any targets on how much of your revenue do you intend to get from non-rice completely? I mean, there is basmati, there is non-basmati, and then there is all the other packaged food items that you would be selling.
Yeah, so I think right now the number is tiny. We are looking at least 500 to 700 crores coming from non-basmati over the long term.
Non-rice or non-basmati?
Non-rice.
Got it. All right, take that point. Thanks a lot for joining in and giving us all those details. Wish you good luck, and we will await any sort of development coming by on the buyback or utilization of cash as well. Take a short break, come back, get you more on the markets. Take care.
Welcome back. Markets holding with a good gain of close to around 100 points odd. Well, the prices of domestic and commercial LPG cylinders have been increased by OMCs with effect from today. This is the second biggest hike in LPG prices. Sonal joins us to fill us in with more details on that. Sonal?
Yes, it's a big hike that we are seeing in the LPG prices. For the commercial cylinder, that's 19 kgs, it has been increased by 350 rupees per cylinder. That's a 19% jump to 2,119 rupees. The retail one that we use in our homes, the 14.2 kg LPG cylinder, there the price has been hiked by around 5% to 1,103 rupees per cylinder. Now, this is the second biggest one-time hike that we have seen in commercial LPG prices as well. If we talk about how or what would have been the reason why this price hike has happened. Now, there is a pricing formula for LPG in the country. It is done on the basis of import parity price, assuming that the fuel is actually imported into the country, because most of gas is imported in our country. Now, this is based on LPG prices in the international prices as well, and international prices, LPG prices that move in tandem with how the crude prices are. So, if crude prices go up, international LPG prices also go higher, and accordingly, LPG prices in domestic markets go higher. It is done with a one-month lag in our own markets as well. Now, major costs that would be impacting LPG pricing would include crude oil prices in the international markets, how the value of rupee has been against the dollar. There are charges at the port, there are dealer commissions, insurance as well. So, all these costs make up the LPG pricing as well. But now we have not seen much impact in the rupee in the last couple of months. There has not been a big increase in crude prices as well. Gas prices globally also have seen a decline, and despite that, we have seen a big increase in gas prices, and that is something which is worrying the consumers as well. European natural gas prices at an 18-month low. Now, US prices are at $2 to $3 per MMBTU versus $9 that we saw last year. So, yes, a big price hike, and that is something which could pinch the consumers as well.
All right, thanks a lot for that. Pinch the consumers for sure. We will keep an eye out on this as it gets. But out of time on this edition of Chartbusters. You stay tuned to CNBC-TV18 as trading hour comes up next.